Circling.
Yep.
My
Yep.
life.
The podcast is live.
We are live. Welcome to the Get Up Girl Show with your gal Joanna Vargas. I have the pleasure, all the pleasure of speaking to one of my really good friends, Dr. Brandye Manigat. She is an OBGYN and sex and pleasure coach. Dr. Brandye, welcome to the show with your hot red lipstick and your sexy braids. I love them.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be back. This is, always a pleasure to sit and chat with you, Joanna. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I was so excited to talk to you today. Hopefully everybody has heard part one. It doesn't say part one, but I did talk to Dr. Brandye. Gosh, we did a few episodes with you. You were on Slay Gals, like during our little holiday replay. And then also you and I had also just a podcast and an Instagram show. So this is like really like part four. We really wanted to bring you back because, in my point of view, I'm wondering, and then I want to hear from you, with the pandemic, and I'm going to call it PTSD of this year and a half coming out of it, so to speak. What have you noticed with your clients? And question, are they all female, or do you have all kinds of clients, and how are they seeing sex, pleasure as a priority coming out of the pandemic?
Well, what I have noticed really is a little more acuteness to the issues that have been going on. Like the stuff that's been going on is the same, but they're because we were so close together, because we were in lockdown, and it was, it was like it came up, and there was more awareness around it, and more of an acute sense of, I've got to work on this. Like, we've got to figure this out. What I've been seeing a lot is either, couples come together and, they figure out some good tools to make sure that things are going well in the bedroom. And then I see another group where it's like, yeah, no, we weren't doing so great before. And even now it's like, yeah, I'm tired of you blinking. Can you just go over there and leave me alone? So, it's kind of split, but there's just more acuteness and more awareness around what's happening in the bedroom. And I work specifically with women. I don't specifically work with men, although, I can give some pointers, give some viewpoints for men, because they have a totally different understanding about what is happening. And if their partner or their wife is like, I don't want to have sex with you, I don't want to have sex. And they're thinking, okay, well, there's something about me. You're not attracted to me. You don't want me. You don't desire me. And that generally is not the case. It's usually some external thing, like the 4 agreements, don't take anything personally. It's not you. It's generally something inside of us that is not where we want it to be, and not where we need it to be in order to relax and enjoy sex. So,
yeah, I think of a female orgasm, and because as I just know my female orgasm, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg. So I know for my own body, the more orgasms I have, I'm going to feel better. But then it's like, oh, I can't even get there. So it's like, which one came first? Well, I got to feel better. I got to feel good in order to have it. And then once I have it, then I feel good, but I don't feel good enough to have it. Are you aware of that? Like it's a circle. It's just which one came first. And you're like, okay, then finally I'm just going to give in so I can have the orgasm so I can feel better. But I feel like I'm being forced. That's the word I'm going to use. Forced to do this. And then like, I almost feel like I don't want to have sex, but I want to feel good afterwards. What have you with clients on that?
Well, I think a lot of it is that there's several things. One is just this idea that we are not even deserving of pleasure. We're not worthy of pleasure. And so it takes a lot for us to even get into the mindset of, okay, I'm doing this and it's for my pleasure. It's not so that I can tick another box off of my to-do list. It's not something that I'm doing for somebody else, because that always takes priority. We don't take care of ourselves. We take care of everybody else first. So that's the first thing, just not even having a thought that I am worthy of pleasure. And you are. Your body was made for pleasure. Your body is amazing in the fact that it can give you so much pleasure, but we don't take the time to explore that. Um, but then there's also kind of this idea that you have to have spontaneous desire be the beginning of anything sexual. And that's not the case. That's not true. A lot of times, spontaneous desire is not the first thing because our minds are so many different places, 15 minutes, 15 minutes at least in the future. So we're not present, we're not in the moment. And so to even have space for that spontaneous desire to come into play is hard. So that can make it difficult to get into that mood. And then our days are so jam-packed. It's like, where am I even going to fit this?
Yeah.
And then depending on what happens after you have the orgasm, because for some people, for some women, it is very energizing. You do it and you feel so much better and you're ready to, tackle the world. And for other women, and it can change even with the same woman in different times, you have it and you're like, okay, I just want to go to sleep. But if you're thinking, okay, I still got 15 other things to do, I can't go to sleep, I have so much to do, then that's another deterrent. So there are a few different reasons why a woman may feel forced in that sense, especially in the sense of like masturbation versus with a partner. A lot of times it is the approach of the partner. And they're not understanding that, hey, I need a little something extra. Like, you can't just roll over and be like, hey, I'm ready, because I'm not ready. And
Yeah.
we need to do some things. Another thing is just, okay, you don't necessarily like the foreplay that leads up to it, but you don't know how to have that conversation with your partner to say, hey, I would really like it if you did this versus that. So, we're kind of bored or just not satisfied with all of what's happening, even though the orgasm, once you get there, may be amazing.
Yeah.
And then, the third thing probably is not knowing those spots on your body, and your partner not knowing those spots on your body that can give you great pleasure. Because for some women, there's this idea that sex is just for my partner. It's not for me. I'm just going to lay here, you do your thing, and when you're done, I'm going to get up and go do whatever. But that's not true. That's not how we were created. That's not how God created our bodies, and not how God created us to be in partnership. So, you have to really kind of explore, like, what is happening here? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling forced? And then address it in the best way possible. And sometimes that's just with being aware. Sometimes that's with getting help with a coach like myself or a sex therapist, even sometimes regular therapists who have a special niche in the sexual arena and in sexual activity. So
Dr. Brandye, I have like a million questions swirling in
I
my
know,
head.
I know you're like, wait, what? Wait, let me get a question in.
I do want to go back to you saying not deserving of pleasure. I felt like I wanted to
Mm,
throw up when you said that. So I knew there was
mm,
something there. I know there's
mhm,
a trigger for me because I
mhm,
didn't think cognitively, Dr. Brandye, that I felt that way. But when you said it,
mm,
I felt it right here. So I know there's something
mm,
there. Almost like I started to tear with a little bit of just a lot of emotion.
mhm,
I would like to talk about that. Do you feel, because you said that first, are you aware,
mhm.
or are most of your clients, is that pretty much like a high thing up there? As women, we don't feel like we deserve it.
Yeah, for the majority of my clients who come to me, it is that,
What do you
and that
think?
actually,
Mm,
you know, for a number of reasons. I know for me, it was a little bit of kind of my background, the background story of how I came into this world, kind of my parenting and early childhood stuff, um, with, my mom and dad not being together, and just kind of that dynamic of just not feeling worthy in general
Yeah.
of anything, and then not feeling worthy of good things. So, and not having a good association around sex, because I had some molestation things that happened early on and even into my teens. So there was a lot around sex where it was like, that's bad and I'm bad because people are doing bad things to me.
Yeah.
And so I think part of it is that, just this sense of, I'm not good enough. I'm not, and I have to keep doing to be good enough to earn this right, not understanding that, it's not anything to be earned. Just because you are here, you are loved and you are deserving of pleasure.
I know that cognitively. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But then yet, like I said, it's so deep. What
Mm-hmm.
would be like step one that you would have your clients do if they're like, okay, I get it. What do I do next?
Um, Well, there's a couple things. So one is, right off the bat, I have them to just kind of tell me what their reaction is to that statement. I am worthy of pleasure.
Mm.
And, if I generally phrase it as, do you agree with the statement?
Ooh.
I am worthy of pleasure. And then I ask why or why not. And we dive into that piece. And then another practice that I have my clients do, my women do, is something called mirror work. And what I have them do is get in the mirror, and I have them say some affirmations to themselves. Like, literally, I want you to look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say these things to yourself. And invariably, they're like, it feels weird to say it in the beginning. And I'm like, I know, but I also know that it works because I've done it myself, so that I can overcome those issues. But
Mhm.
just saying I love you to yourself, and looking yourself in the eyes and saying that, and repeating it until it is not feeling, super duper like, ha ha ha, why am I doing this? All of that stuff that comes up when we are doing something and we feel silly, or we feel like, why am I doing this? I think that's one of the things that I've learned in the pandemic, is that I love myself, yes, but there's so much more to just saying, okay, I love myself. There's
Mm.
some deeper things that go into self-love. And part of that is self-pleasure,
Yeah.
and doing things that not only affirm who you are, but that pour into your soul and pour into who you were put on this earth to be.
Wow. So many ahas for me. One of the things that I do want to go back to is you said spontaneous desire.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? This is what I took from it. Almost like I think it's a movie. I'm supposed to be turned on just like all of a sudden, and my partner grabs,
Mm-hmm.
kisses me, and all of a sudden I'm on. Is that kind of what you mean?
Mm.
What do you mean by spontaneous desire?
Well, that's a good example of how it plays out. But spontaneous desire, when I say that, I say that to mean you are just kind of going about your business, doing your deal, and you're like, I'm feeling a little
Oh.
like I'd like to play.
Mhm.
And then, you either will act on that, and, if you're alone, you will have engage in what I call self-play. Or you will, if your partner is around and they're available, you'll, approach your partner with the ask of, can we, and, make sure that you get that taken care of. Or, in the case most of the time with my clients, they are not even aware that they're having those thoughts and
Ooh,
ideas,
okay.
and they push them down because it's like, I don't have time for that. I got to go do this and that and the other. And over time, as you continue to stuff those feelings, your brain will actually say, okay, listen, that doesn't seem to be important to her. We're going
Oh,
to stop bringing those signals to her attention.
got it.
And so another one of the practices that I do for my clients is to have them track, like, listen, I want you to literally track when you are feeling any type of sexual anything, if it's a fleeting thought, if it's tingling sensation. And for some, that's very hard. It's like they've been stuffing and suppressing that desire for so long that they have no idea what it even feels like, looks like, what have you. So then I say, okay, well, baby steps. Just be aware of the things that feel really good to you during the day, whether it's a good meal,
Mm,
whether it's how, your clothing feels on your skin, whether it's, a compliment from somebody. Just bask in that
mm.
and learn
Okay.
what it feels like to feel good.
I'm writing that down because Dr. Brandye, like in my teens and 20s, all the time, all the time,
Mhm.
that spontaneous
Mhm.
desire, all the time. And I just, aha, I pushed it and pushed it down and pushed it down. And I think a lot of it
Mhm.
was shame. A lot of it was you're a slut, etc. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I can still hear the
Yeah.
voices of, and I know now, Dr. Brandye, that it was jealousy from other women to
Mhm. Mhm.
shame me because this guy likes me, or where I go,
Mhm.
I attract men. And it's like, oh, Joanna, you're a slut. You're this. How can you do that? And it was like they were saying it
Mhm.
because they care, and I bought it like they care. Now I see it, and it
Mhm.
was jealousy, like so. But I bought it as shame, so I stuffed
Mhm.
it and
Mhm.
I stuffed it and I stuffed down that I was like I was like this woman, like this. I could walk into a room and attract men. Now I'm like, oh no, don't attract
Mhm.
them. But I walk into a
Mhm.
room and go, no, I would like to get their attention, even though I'm like, no.
Mhm.
So that's a fight within itself. That's
Mhm.
interesting. And
Mhm.
then, Dr. Brandye, I now say, oh, it's because I'm older, so I don't get attention from men or whatever. What
Mm-mm.
is that? You know what
Mm-mm.
I'm saying? But
Yeah.
then I created that story to go, oh, I only
Mhm.
got it when I was younger because men like
Yeah.
younger women. What is the
Yeah.
craziness on that?
Yeah.
It's a record. It's a record. So now I
Mhm.
believe that I'm not attractive. So then I
Mhm.
believe, and then, like I said at the beginning, the chicken and the egg, like a circle.
Mhm.
So then there's less spontaneous desire. There's
Mhm.
less urge. There's less feeling deserving of pleasure,
Mhm. Mhm.
which now leads to like not feeling as successful. So
Mhm.
do you
Mhm.
think that if there were more orgasms in the world, particularly from females, do you think this
Girl,
would be
yes.
a happier world?
Girl, yes. Yes.
Easy
And
answer.
before I dive into that, I want to go back to what you said.
Oh,
Yes,
let's
because
go
that's
back.
an easy answer. Um, and it's about the stories that we tell ourselves, the things that we make up about what happened to us. That was probably the game changer
Oh,
for my transformation. And
right.
just for people who haven't caught the previous lives, I got into this work because I was having my own struggles with low libido, and it started in my late 20s. And just at that point, was I married? I was married then, but had been dealing with it even before my marriage. And it literally just exploded my relationship and broke my relationship apart. And through that work that I was doing to try to save my relationship and figure out what was wrong with me, I was looking at different things, different resources, and nobody and nothing was there that would be a lasting solution. And so I had to dig deep and find my own solution. And these were the things that I learned along the way. And these are the things that I teach my clients. And they don't have to spend 10, 15 years combing through all the stuff to try to figure out how to get their sexy back, really. Because, before you would not see me all dolled up and pretty and lipstick and earrings and all the things,
I
right?
love
I was
it.
like, what am I getting dressed up for? I'm just going to put on these
Oh,
clothes. I'm going to put on these scrubs and go to work.
Hey.
Right. What? Like, what am I doing that for? Whatever. So it was a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
But the stories that I was telling myself about why I didn't want sex, why I wasn't interested, why I had all the reasons. Like I was always tired. I was always tired. It was like, dude, I just came in from delivering 2 babies. I'm going to sleep because I got to get up and go to clinic in like 3 hours. Why are you messing with me? So there were reasons and stories that I told myself. Oh, he doesn't love me. He just wants to have sex with me. I'm just this object. I'm the warm body here, and he can't because we're married and all. Just a whole bunch of stories. But the stories that you tell yourself, they are influencing how you then interact in the world, no matter what kind of relationship it is, intimate or otherwise. So you have to be aware of what you're making of something and catching it. And even if, getting good at just catching yourself, like, oh, that's the story I'm thinking. Okay. You don't even have to do anything, just being aware that you're thinking it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stop and make sure that we talked about that, because that's important. Because a lot of women make up different stories, like you were saying, the shame around it. Oh, if I act like I want to have sex more, he'll think that, I'm not a good girl. Oh, if I do this particular type of act with sex, oh, I'm not a good girl. Just all of these stories that we make up and all of this shame that's around sex. And it was never meant to be shameful. It was never meant to embody that. But the world has taken it and has made it such so that it's very difficult to get past that shame.
Oh my gosh, so good. I do want to go back to the
Yeah.
stories. My
Mm-hmm.
2019 theme, or, you and I, we do our annual plans. We've had a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
similar business coach. Shout out to Marianne, Emma Jeff.
Marianne.
And that's how
Mm-hmm.
we met. But in 2019, one of mine was to stop telling stories that don't serve me. And what I
Mm-hmm.
realized, Dr. Brandye, is that whenever I choose something for that year, I'm really focused on it. And I did. I stopped, like you said, I was very aware, like, oh, here it comes in. And what I noticed just right now, just had an aha,
Mm-hmm.
that if it's not right here in my face, girl, then I stopped being aware of it. And they started to
Mm-hmm.
creep back in, especially last year with the pandemic. I felt like almost like I graduated. 2019, I
Mm-hmm.
got that no more telling stories. I'm good, you know? And then
Yes.
Dr. Brandye, I started telling different stories. So I cleaned up the old
Mm-hmm.
stories, but I'm telling new ones. And I
Mm-hmm.
have goosebumps all over my arms and shoulders right now from, whoa, Joanna, keep that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not
Yeah.
check mark. And I'm going to add that back into my plans, to my awareness that I am creating,
Mm-hmm.
telling, living, looking for evidence for these stories, and they're different ones. And it's like a whole
Mm-hmm.
new level. And I'm aware of them. Let me take that back. I'm aware of some of them. It's different
Mm-hmm.
than it was in 2018. The stories, I was
Mm-hmm.
very unconscious and unaware, and like, oh no, but this is the truth, Dr. Brandye. And I would make
Mm-hmm.
these stories much bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that. So anybody listening, please, this is big. And like I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be, okay, got it, all done.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want
But
to talk.
back to the question,
Oh, I know, right,
is
girl? Go back.
orgasm important to your success?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Thank
and
you.
yes.
The whole theme of the show.
Right, right. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
and
go back, please.
yes. Um, so for women, I feel like, and I hate to say it as this cliche, but we are living lives of quiet desperation. And we are just, hanging on by our fingernails, trying to keep all the plates spinning in the air so that everything runs as smoothly as it possibly can. And we are leaving ourselves out of the equation. And success is not just how much money you make, the titles you have. Success is being able to look in the mirror and be happy with what you see. Success is being in touch with your feminine energy, your feminine essence, and not trying to hide it or stuff it to get ahead. And I feel like when you are having regular good orgasms, everything changes. The game changes. It's not even a game anymore. It literally is, I am here. I am me. I'm comfortable in my body. I'm comfortable receiving pleasure. Like women, we have so much trouble even receiving a compliment. We feel like we have to give it back. Feel like we have to deflect it. When you are experiencing regular orgasms and regular pleasure, there was this one study that was done, I think it's been about a year and a half ago that they reported on it. And they said that women who were having good sex and regular orgasms were perceived as being more creative and better leaders. And this was in the corporate space. And so if you are having that perception, because a lot of times, we tried to have a woman president and they were like, no, women can't lead, da, 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 da. There's always this little, chatter about a woman being a leader. And so, one of the ways of combating that, what they showed with the study was that you are perceived in a different light, and you are perceived to be have more leadership qualities, and you're more likely to get promoted, which means a better paycheck. Wow. So, it actually is, there's some tangible data to show that you having bad sex is affecting your bottom line. It's affecting more than just, oh, okay, well, I'm just not having sex and it's fine. It's not as frivolous as we thought. Not only that, orgasms have so many benefits that go from, just overall better health, better immune system, it limits your pain. If you have migraine headaches, especially, it will help those to go away, lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate, decreases stress, helps with sleep. There's so many benefits and so many reasons to have and make sure that you're having good sex. And then, like I said, that dollar, the money, it is important. It helps with creativity. It's so important.
I wonder, Dr. Brandye, how women earn less than men on paper. Mm-hmm. I think it's changing. Yet, do you think that has something to do with it? Of all the shame?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
We've talked about this before too. Yeah, gosh, I was talking to Salome about this. Also, men masturbate much more than women, or it's like no big deal. We all know they do it. It's like, oh yeah, mm-hmm. Women we're more shameful about it. And mm-hmm. even if men are not having sex with a partner, they're still most likely to masturbate more often than we are. And I wonder if all mm-hmm. these, like you're saying, create better leaders, of why they're making more money. And is it really because you're a man, or because this energy that you're emitting from your body and you're attracting mm-hmm. that? So if we were to have more mm-hmm. orgasms and can we be happier and more successful? And I say, yes, mm-hmm. amen. With mm-hmm. that, Dr. Brandye, self-pleasure, self-play, you called it, mm-hmm. AKA masturbation, for women or anybody, is that the same as having orgasms, would you say? Or do you think having it with a partner is different? Because with the pandemic, I had a lot of friends that were like, oh no, I have my rabbit. I have my pool. I don't need a guy. And I'm like, well, I need hands over. I want a hug.
Right.
Any science or?
Well, the benefits of orgasm are the same, whether it's partnered sex or solo play or masturbation.
Okay.
So you get the same benefits. However, we are relational beings, and it definitely can elevate the experience. Like you said, being right, being held, being caressed, that sense of bonding with another person is also important. I'm not a pediatrician, I'm an OBGYN, but we do know that there's something called failure to thrive. So babies who are in the nursery who don't get loving cuddles and touches and things like that, you can give them all the food, all the nutrients, all the stuff in the world, and they won't grow, they won't develop. So being in relationship, if you can be, is good. But if you're not at the moment, that doesn't negate the benefits of orgasm.
Failure to thrive. I wrote that down and I'm circling it twice. There was a couple years ago, Dr. Brandye, where on paper, I was very successful. This was when I was doing a music festival and I had this and that and everything was like, whoa, Joanna is a mover and a shaker. And I would leave the event, Dr. Brandye, by myself in tears. And everybody, I saw Lady Gaga say this. She's like, there's cameras flashing. I'm in front of 50,000 people and all of a sudden I go home alone and I cry and I have a glass of wine by myself. So failure to thrive, just because you're around people, just like the kid in the nursery, doesn't mean like I want the hugs. And I had that in the pandemic. I had so many Zoom calls and so many friends and so many et cetera, et cetera. And I was crying, just like, oh my gosh, I want to be around people. I want to hug you. I want to go to a retreat. I want to hang out with you. I want to just, lie in bed with you.
Be in your energy. Just be in your energy.
So I could see the difference of what that could be. Masturbation as compared to being with the person had a big aha on that. And I'm a relational person. You said like, I need people, even though I'm highly introverted. But I want.
You still have your need. Yeah, you still have your need for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I'm an introvert too.
Yeah, you and I are very similar. We're introverted. And
I'm an introvert too.
Like, okay, bye, peace out. Right? Wow. Yeah. And so I'm thinking about how many, and I know, Dr. Brandye, as that happened, I had people around me that were concerned. So we're like, okay, are you bipolar? Are you this? And I talked to a therapist and she goes, oh, honey, you're fine. You're just lonely. Literally, that was it. Bawled, crying. You're just lonely. And when I saw that, I started to go on a quest, like you said, like, okay, I'm going to go on this quest and see what this is. My values started to change. I stopped putting so much into work. And people go like, what happened? You used to do all this. And I'm like, man, I was so successful on paper, but dying inside. I was so lonely. I had failure to thrive. So I was thriving, but like dying inside. And I wonder if that's very similar to women that are even in a marriage or in a partnership and failure to thrive because there is no connection. Wow. I'm filtering my lips as it's like aha moments in my
right. I do that too. Like, oh, like I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to
this is for me.
Right.
Wow.
Yes. So, that disconnection is a mother. That sense of disconnection is a mother. It will take you out. It will take you out.
Do you think it compounds over time as well? I feel like it's
I think it does. Yeah, I think it does, and it can, and it leads to people just kind of being stuck in their bubbles And it's just like, okay, this, this is who I am now. Like first it's just, okay, this is happening. Then it's kind of a habit. Then it just becomes your personality and who you are. And it's so hard to break out of that. Yeah.
That's it, Dr.
But
Brandye.
then
Like I'm almost like this is me now. And I'm like, no.
you're like, no, 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 I don't want to be this.
I'm
No.
fighting. Yeah. You were gonna say something before.
Yeah. But I was going to say something about the disconnection, because not only can it be between us, like people, between people, we also, as women, have a disconnection of our minds to our bodies. And we're always up here thinking, and we're just, our body just holds our neck through the world, but we're not aware of our bodies. And it's like, okay, how do we get there? How do we get embodied? And one of the ways that I like to do it is through dancing, and specifically dancing that moves the hip and pelvic area, because that's where our sacral chakra is, our energy center that's around creativity and around sexuality and sensuality. And so I often will have my clients to do some sort of body work or body movement to stimulate that energy to improve and increase. Because we got to we're stuck here. Like even clients are like, I'm having sex, and 5 minutes in, I'm thinking about the laundry and who I got to take what kid I got to take to the doctor tomorrow. And I got this presentation at work that I got to finish. And, it's like, okay, well, how do you expect to enjoy this encounter if you're not even in the encounter? So we have to also be mindful of that disconnect between our mind and our bodies. And I usually start my clients with just doing some meditation, a little bit of meditation, so you can get practice in being present in the moment. And then you can begin to do other things in the bedroom to help you to stay present and be in the moment.
Oh, Dr. Brandye, we're going to need a part 4,000.
Right?
Okay, I got one more question that's like, and I wonder if anybody else has the same thing about the disconnection and embodiment. I've talked to other women that do this as well. And there's also almost like a little bit of shame, or maybe a lot of shame or embarrassment, or feel bad about it, that we fantasize as we're having sex, because in order to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you heard of that or noticed that, or your thoughts on that? Is it though a disconnection though from your body in order to enjoy it?
It can be. It can be. I've seen it go either way. I've had clients who do it, and that is their way, like you said, of getting into the moment. And then I have had other clients who do it actually as a way of distancing themselves in the moment. So it can go either way. So I think it is the intention behind it. A lot of times I will see the fantasizing happen if you've had like sexual trauma, like rape or anything like that. It'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to this other place because this other place is safer than where I am right now. Versus, hey, I'm trying to get into it and really, enjoy the encounter. And for those women who are using it as a tool to get into the mood, I would say, it's not hurtful. And if you can, if possible, fantasize about something that you and your partner that you're with currently are doing, that or have done, so that, because they can feel it, your partner can feel it when you are not like focused on them, even if it's in a fantasy. So either have the fantasy be more in tune and more in line with something that you two have done in the past or are doing currently, And you can even, begin to speak out what you're fantasizing about, and see, how that works with your partner. And that brings them into it, so that it's not so, okay, we're together, but I'm here in my head.
Wow. Very helpful.
Yeah.
You know, you're so good at, Dr. Brandye, is your energy, your delivery is so inviting. Like I
Thank
can
you.
understand how women feel very comfortable with you, and so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Because it's not me. It's the Lord.
You're very good at it. I can understand as an OBGYN, like I feel so comfortable with you. Like, here's
Mm-hmm.
open up the legs. Here we go. Here's everything. My mind and my hoo-ha all open. And
Right.
so
Right.
comfortable with you. And like it's just two girlfriends having a conversation. There's never
Mm-hmm.
zero shame. Like, wow, thank you for that. And I hope everybody
Yeah.
listening as well received the same that I received. If they're
Mm-hmm.
listening going, oh my gosh, how do I work with Dr. Brandye? Because I know you have an orgasm, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a class, it's
I
a
have
course, right?
I have a
Now,
mini course. Mm-hmm.
mini course. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Brandye, is that a pre-recorded class or is that like a group class or live? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the mini course is it's pre-recorded. It is my take on helping women to have amazing orgasms. It's called Stop Faking It, the secret
Yes.
to amazing orgasms. Because we are, in a sense, faking it. We're faking it and trying to make it, but we're not making it. And so the course itself is very short because we're busy. Nobody's got time for 3, 4, 5 weeks of stuff. This is an hour total, an hour. Okay.
Yes.
So you can do an hour.
Okay.
And it teaches you not only your pleasure points on your body, because there's at least 10 points on your body that you can stimulate for orgasm. So it gives you all of that. It teaches you ways to maximize your pleasure so that you are enjoying the process and you're enjoying the moment. We talk about multiple orgasms, we talk about blended orgasms, all the A spot, the K spot, U spot, and squirting, all that stuff. We talk about that in the course. And then we also break down how you can make almost like an orgasm action plan. So you know what you need in order to be able to have an amazing sexual experience. And then there's a bit in there, so it teaches you how to ask for what you want from your partner. So it kind of covers the gamut, because those are the things that I see as kind of the stumbling blocks when women come to me and they're like, we're having sex, it kind of feels good, but I'm not having the amazing orgasms like I used to have, or I don't even know if I've ever had one. So I send them to that course, and that's a good way to get started.
We will definitely put that link in. Yeah, Stop Faking It.
Mm-hmm.
And a link to your
Mm-hmm.
book. And I love, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
said, it's a great book. I've read it. It's an easy read.
Mm-hmm.
You could, on a Sunday afternoon, real quick, go back to it.
Yeah.
It's not 4,000 pages and feel like, oh, like I love how you said, ain't got time. We ain't got that.
Nobody got time for that, right?
Nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that.
Yeah, quick, easy, fun book. Yeah, and you have such a
Mm-hmm.
good delivery on that. Last question for you, because this is my own personal request. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have a group of women that come together? And if not, are you thinking about that?
It's so funny that you asked that question.
Yes.
I do not have a group of women at this time. I am, however, considering it strongly. That is the next thing that I want to do.
I'd be the
Yeah.
first to sign up. I'm really missing, like we said, failure to thrive. The pandemic
Mm-hmm.
has taught me that I love a tribe of women and my
Mm-hmm.
men too,
Mm-hmm.
but I love a tribe.
Yeah.
I love retreats.
Yeah.
I love coming together. If we have the option of, they go Zoom or in person, I'm the girl there in person. I'm the in-person girl.
Mhm.
I'll do a Zoom,
Okay.
but I prefer,
Yeah.
so anyway, but even a tribe of women on Zoom, I
Mhm.
wonder if how many other women out there would be kicking
Yeah.
down your door, and especially with your
Mhm.
energy, Dr. Brandye, to
Yeah.
lead us. And what would the ripple effect be if you brought, let's just say,
Mm.
10 women together that had incredible orgasms, and how they can ripple effect out into the world?
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
Like I
Wow.
said,
Okay,
back,
you got me thinking. You
woo,
got me thinking.
I am asking. Yeah, I could totally feel it. The ripple effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being
Nice.
here. You were such a contribution to my day, to this
Thank you.
conversation. I think it's a conversation that I wish we would have more of in this
Yeah.
nature, without the
Yeah.
judgment behind it. And you have such a way of
Mhm.
removing the judgment and just going, here it is, gals. Yeah. And how can it be different?
Mhm.
You have the how
Mhm.
can it be different energy. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll
Thank
put
you.
all
It was
your
my
links.
pleasure.
Oh,
Yeah.
your
It was my
pleasure, Coach.
pleasure. It's
All
my
your links.
pleasure.
Follow her on Instagram. Follow her on, even though she's trying to learn how to tag me on Instagram, she'll learn.
Right, right. Look here, look here. Don't
Step
rat
one.
me out. Don't rat me out. I'm gonna learn.
Ask your daughter. She'll teach you.
She will teach me. She
Yeah.
will teach me.
Thank you so much. And to everybody listening,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And let us know what your takeaways were on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time.
Mhm.
Wait, before we leave, though, I do want you to give a shout out to your website.
Oh yeah. So my website is drbrandymd.com. So it's DrBrandyeMD.com. And you can
Yes.
find
Yeah.
everything there. The
Everything.
books,
Buy her
the
book there.
courses, all the
A little
stuff.
side
Yeah.
note, Brandye has an E after Y. So please make sure that
Mhm.
you write that correctly. It'll be in the show notes. But I wanted to make sure that anybody listening is like, oh my God, how do I get a part of Dr.
Yeah.
Brandye? That's how. Thank you for
Awesome.
listening. Oh, remember, if you want different, choose different. Get back up, gals. We'll see you
Mhm.
next time. Mwah. Bye.